subject matter for the day, man. Hopefully y'all having a powerful Saturday, getting the weekend started off on a positive and healthy note. So I'm gonna give y'all a little chance to scroll on in, tap in with the kid before I start building on this important subject matter for the day, man. We gonna deal with the ego and how that's pretty much the downfall of man. A lot of us have allowed the ego to consume and control us. The ego is consuming and controlling a lot of men, and it is becoming a big detriment to our overall growth and development as men. Anais, peace, what's happening? We have to learn to control that ego. That ego, that lack of control of the ego is killing us. It is killing us. It's a lot of people, it's a lot of men out here. Just peace, what's happening? It's a lot of men out here that are what you would call conscious, have intelligence, have a lot of wisdom. But most of them fail when it comes to keeping their ego in check. A lot of these dudes with this information, a lot of dudes with this knowledge and all that good stuff, a lot of them fail to keep the ego in check, and that is creating a lot of problems. It's creating a lot of problems. Kurt, peace, what's happening? Magic, peace. Zeke, peace, what's the word, what's happening? That is literally the downfall of man. We like to blame everything. We like to blame any and everybody else for our downfall. You know, we like to say, oh, women is the downfall of men, all this type of nonsense. Really, we are killing ourselves in regards to keeping that ego in check. Cheyenne, peace, what's happening? Goddess, peace, queens, what's happening? What's happening? Queens in the building, peace, how y'all living? So we gotta really get a hold of the ego. The ego in and of itself, pretty much like everything else, the ego in and of itself is not good or bad. It's not negative nor positive. The ego just is. That's one sense of self-esteem and self-importance. That's all the ego is. The ego can be used to benefit you, but for the most part, it's not. It's when we get to the point where, and I said the ego revolves around self-importance. So once you feel like you are the most important person on the planet and nobody and nothing else is more important than you, then that's when the ego has consumed you. When your self-esteem has gotten to the point where nobody can tell you anything, you are no longer open to criticism, advice, suggestions, things of that nature, then now the ego is controlling you. The ego has consumed you. And when the ego is consuming you, you become ego driven. And like I said in a stream a long time ago, man, when you are ego driven, that is only going to lead to a fatality, a wreck, a crash, an accident, whatever you want to call it. David, peace, what's happening? What's the word? What's the word? So again, the ego in and of itself is not something that's positive or negative. It is once the ego starts to control you that it becomes a detriment, just like emotions. Emotions are not necessarily something that's positive or negative. It's once the emotions start to control you that they become a detriment. The ego is the same way. And all you got to do is just analyze social media, analyze these platforms. When you analyze social media and analyze these platforms, you come across a lot of men that have issues with controlling their ego. Every time you look up, you see men going back and forth and nobody wants to admit that they're wrong. Nobody wants to be wrong. Men nowadays cannot admit when they are wrong. Matter of fact, men these days just can't even be man enough to step away from a situation. Like, man, it ain't even, you don't have to go back and forth with this brother, man. All y'all doing is expressing whatever it is that y'all viewpoint is. That's all y'all doing. Y'all going back and forth with y'all opinions. And at the end of the day, nobody is going to convert anybody to the other side. So we not even man enough to realize what we are doing is pointless half the time. We ain't even man enough to realize that. We trying to prove a point. We trying to be the smartest person in the room. We trying to be the smartest person on social media. We trying to be the smartest man in the room. We trying to be the smartest man on social media. It's not about that. It's not about that. We trying to be the loudest person on social media. We trying to be the loudest person in the room. Calm all that down, man. Calm all that down. It's not necessary, man. But a lot of times when you get on social media and you see these men going back and forth, when you look at what they are arguing or debating about, most of the time it's something that's just like pointless. It really doesn't even make a difference. But dudes don't want to be wrong, man. They gotta prove a point. They gotta be right. So we gonna go back and forth. We gonna go back and forth trying to prove a point. Cause I gotta be right because it's my ego involved right now. So I gotta be right. The way I view the world has gotta be right. The way you view the world has gotta be wrong. And then we gonna go back and forth and wonder why we can't even come to some type of agreement because it's pointless at the end of the day. Kevin, peace. What's that? What's happening? What's the word? Consul, peace, peace. Nick, peace. What's happening? David, yep, yes, sir. That book, I know all about it. Nero, peace. What's the word? Magic, and that's what we dealing with a lot of times. Untamed egos. And black men, and I feel like, again, social media has played a role in making matters worse when it comes to taming the ego. Social media made it worse because we now all of a sudden we worried about going viral. We worried about likes. We worried about subscribers, followers, and things of that nature. When you add all of that into the equation, now the ego is really a problem because the more likes you have, the more subscribers you have, the more people that share your videos, the ego is growing bigger. We getting big headed, as they say. So if you talking a good talk and you got a bunch of people rocking with you on social media, that's about to do some damage. That's about to make the ego, it's about to make the ego get way more inflated than it probably already was. So that's what tends to happen, man. And a lot of times, man, some of these brothers really need to chill out and remember where they came from and remember where they started from. I got to remember that, man. Got to remember that. These dudes, and I've seen it with too many dudes on these platforms, man. They started at the bottom, grassroots level. And the people supported them. And the people got them to a certain position, a certain status, and then they turn their backs on the people. You got to remember why the people was rocking with you in the first place. So a lot of these brothers, man, you may have been dropping some powerful information in the beginning, and that's what got most of the people on your side. That's what got most of the people to support you. Then years ago, you done got all of their support. Now all of a sudden, you talking about something that's totally different. That's in opposition to what the people was rocking with you originally for. So you gotta stop doing that, man. You gotta stop turning your back on the people that made you. You gotta stop turning your back on the people that got you to that level. And a lot of times that's what happens. That's what happens when you turn your back on those people, man. That's that bad karma is what people want to, that's what they want to call it. That's when that comes at you. Don't turn your back on the people, man, that put you on, man. Don't turn your back on the people that's responsible for your current position or status in life. And that's what people do. That's what people do. You have a lot of these brothers in the so-called conscious community. They wouldn't have made it to the level. They wouldn't be receiving the type of revenue that they are receiving if it wasn't for the support of the black people that was supporting them. Then they get to that level and turn their backs on the black people. But you never would have became this social media superstar, whatever the case may be, without the support of the people. So don't turn your back on those people, man. Don't do it because it's not going to end well for you. It's not going to end well for you. When you turn your back on your people, and those are the people that's responsible for your position, status, whatever the case may be, man, it's going to be a lot of negativity, toxicity, and destruction and chaos that comes your way as a result of turning your back on the very people that are responsible for elevating you to that status or position. It's going to be a lot of chaos and destruction coming your way. Sneaky peace, Airview peace, what's the word? D Monty peace, what's happening? Oh, Cheyenne, most definitely. Ego swollen, big headed, however we want to refer to it as. And nice, you say they'd rather be right than righteous. Exactly. Exactly. And sometimes it ain't all about being right, because at the end of the day, a lot of times we be debating about things that don't even really have a right or wrong answer to it. We debating about religious views. Like at the end of the day, there is no right or wrong when it comes to that. There is no right or wrong, man. One thing you're not about to do, and I know this firsthand, you're not about to out the gate just convert somebody to another religion or another way of seeing the world just off of a debate. Like if they believe the way that they coming at you is correct, you're not about to convert them, man. No matter how much evidence you present to let them know that their way of life may be incorrect, man. If it's revolving around a belief system, you're not about to just convert that person overnight because of a debate. They're not going to feel like they lost. They're not gonna feel like you won. And that's another thing that's funny. When it comes to debates and things like that, everybody always think that they won. Everybody always think they won a debate. So how everybody win in these debates? If a debate has a winner or a loser, like how everybody think they won at the end of the day? It's all ego. Nobody thinks they lost. Nobody ever thinks they lost, man. It's all ego. That ego is destroying us, man. That ego is destroying us. And in regards to the men, like we have to get control over that ego. And I feel like that goes hand in hand with controlling and mastering the emotions. Because when that ego is out of control, guess what? The emotions are out of control. So when you got a brother that they big headed, they ain't got no control over the ego, emotionally, they are also unstable. And I know y'all have seen that, man. So when you see a brother that's big headed, lack of control of the ego, emotionally, they are also all over the place. So we got to get a control on that ego, man. When we control that ego, then that's also going to help us master the emotions, the energy that we put into motion. But a lot of men, just honestly speaking, are unstable emotionally, and that's causing way more problems. So we got to get a hold on that, man. We got to get a hold on those emotions. We got to get a hold on that ego, man. We got to do it. We got to do it. That pride and all that good stuff, man, that stuff is killing us. We digging our own graves, and we don't even necessarily have to be doing it. Because again, most of the times, like I said, when we going back and forth, what are we going back and forth over? What are we going back and forth about? What are we striving to accomplish with some of these back and forths? We got a whole system. We got a whole system that's out to destroy us, and we want to go back and forth about which religion is correct. We got a whole system. I'm talking about a whole system devising schemes and plans to kill us, wipe us out, and we debating about things like that. We debating about which God to believe in or not to believe in. That's what we debating about. And we just got to be right about it. So we going to keep drilling the person who don't believe in what we believe in. I'm talking about we going to make video after video after video, drilling them, drilling that belief system. When at the end of the day, you're not doing anything. Because let's say everybody converts over to your way of life. Then what's next? See, people don't be really having answers, man. We got to start dealing with solutions. We got to start dealing with answers instead of the ego. We need solutions. We need answers. Like, what are we going to do to change our condition? Converting over to a certain religion is not going to change our condition at all. Because we got plenty of people in all walks of life. And our condition is still not changing. And we got to be realistic. There's never going to be a point in time where we all believe in the same thing. That wasn't even the case back in the day before we encountered Europeans. We were always a tribal people. So we always had different perspectives, different tribes, different cultures. We always had that. We are the most diverse people. So there's never going to be a point in time where we all believe in the same things in regards to like a worldview and things of that nature. We too diverse and too versatile for all of that. Matter of fact, I wouldn't want to live in a world where we all believed in the exact same thing. So that's one of the reasons why I'm really not striving to convert everybody to a certain perspective and certain outlook on life. That's corny to me. I don't want to live in that type of society and world where everybody that looks like me believes in the same exact thing that I believe in. I don't want to live in something like that, man. We got bigger issues at hand. We got bigger issues at hand. That's why I always be dealing with health and things of that nature, because that's something that's killing us. It's the number one killer of us, man. We talking about the cops. We talking about all this nonsense. But like I always say, look at the number one killer of black people. It's going to revolve around health and us not taking care of ourselves. That's what it's going to revolve around. That's what it's going to revolve around. Lindell, peace. Akuma, peace. What's happening? And that's what it boils down to. And even when it comes to men just being in relationships and things of that nature, man, we just got to do better at like listening. We got to do better at listening, man. Like, again, most of the time the man just wants to be right. And we got to eliminate that, man. We got to eliminate that. Now, if you present some information that's right and exact, that's useful and that can benefit the person that you present that information to, different ball game. But when it comes to certain things, man, we gotta learn how to just let certain things go. we got to learn to let certain things go. It's not always about being right, man. Sometimes we got to learn to be coachable. We got to learn how to become better listeners. And I'm talking to black men specifically because I feel like these are areas where we lack. When another brother tells you something, man, you got to be able to take that criticism and not look at it like he's challenging you, because that's not what it's all about. If that brother is more well versed than you in a certain aspect or certain subject, listen to that brother instead of looking at it as a challenge, and instead of feeling intimidated and things like that. That brother can help you. But no, we view everything as a challenge. We got to be right. We got to be the experts in everything. It's not even that serious. I'm in the fitness space as a personal trainer. Got plenty of dudes, man. Like I train a lot of women. So you have dudes that may be trying to talk to, like, maybe in relationships with some of the women that I train, and they'll start saying dumb things like, what you paying a trainer for? You could just work out with me. Whole while they not an expert in the field. Whole while they out of shape, don't know how to lift properly. But they view me as a threat. Like, bro, I'm a personal, like, I got certified. I took time to master this craft. This is what I do. I'm not training people to talk to women. Like, that's ridiculous. I didn't need to do that. But you have that. They view any dude, like when they dealing with a woman, they view any dealing with another man as a threat. You in a relationship with a dude that has ego problems, you get your car fixed by another man, they feel like that's a threat. You must be talking to that man. Oh, you getting trained by another man, you must be talking to that man. Like, they feel threat, like that's an insecure man. And it's a lot of men like that. And we can't be that way. Listen, brother, if you not a trainer, if you not well versed in fitness, then it's okay for your lady to have a trainer that's a male, that knows what he's doing. You don't have to feel threatened and intimidated by that. Matter of fact, you can come in there with her and work out if you feel there's something going on. So we got to stop that nonsense, man. We got to stop it, man. The insecurity. People talk about insecurities when it comes to women, but it's a lot of men that suffer from the insecurity as well. And we got to drop that. That's not a good way to live. Internally, that will mess you up. Internally, that will destroy you. But I know a lot of brothers that then pulled that card on some of the women that I train. What you going to him for? You could just work out with me. They don't even work out. They just feel threatened. They don't want them going to something that involves them having to interact with another man. Whether or not that man is an expert in the field, that's irrelevant to them. Javon, peace, what's happening? Montel, peace, what's the word? Teaching AI, peace, what's the word? Pseudo charlatans, Ed, peace, what's happening? Miss Donnie, peace, what's the word? But we gotta do better with that, man. It's just the jealousy, the envy, all of that nonsense, the egos, all of that, man. That is and the self-hatred. And that's also a part of it too, the self-hatred. All of that combined is what's leading to the conflict, the tension when it comes to black men. Like, a lot of times, man, we'll kill each other. We'll do something stupid, man. We'll harm one another over just dumb things. Real dumb things. We'll harm one another and kill one another over. Oh, man, you looking at my girl, man. I got to shoot and kill you now. What's the point in that, man? What's the point of that? Now you done took a whole entire life, and now you about to spend your whole entire life in prison. Was it worth it? See, that's your ego talking. Was it worth it? Was it worth it at the end of the day? You took a whole life. A mother don't have a son anymore, and now you finna spend the rest of your life in prison. So therefore, now your mother really doesn't have a son because now he's locked up in prison. Was it worth it because they looked at your girl a certain type of way? Didn't do anything to it, looked at a certain type of way. Now you feel like you gotta shoot and kill him. That's what it's all about. Oh, he stepped on your shoes. Now you feel like you gotta shoot him. Little things like that. Is it worth it? Like, sometimes you gotta ask yourself that question before you take it there. Is it worth it? Is it worth it? Catch yourself, black man, before you start tripping, before you start spazzing. Because if you spaz, you got to think about the consequences that's going to come with the spazzing or come after the spazzing. Ask yourself, is it worth it, man? Ask yourself, is it worth it, man? If you got a family to go home to, you got to think about that. Got to keep that under consideration. You have people to make it home to. They need you. So this little situation Like, it's a little bigger than that. Hey, teaching AI, there you go. Get the workout in. Get the workout in. Akuma, what you say? Hold on. Said my ex, her first baby father, got locked up for life same week his son was born. Ultimate dummy. And that type of stuff happens, man, because it's the selfishness. It's the selfishness, man. We can't be, and that's ego, selfish. Probably whatever he did to get locked up for life, it was something stupid, something that could have been avoided. Something that could have been avoided. So sometimes the manly thing to do, in all honesty, is walk away. See, a lot of times people have viewed walking away as something that's soft and weak. No, walking away is probably the strongest thing you can do most of the time, depending on the situation. Depending on the situation, walking away could be the manly thing to do and the strongest thing to do. Tyson, peace, what's happening? They got you thinking that's the cowardly thing to do. Like, even if you having situations with the mother of your children or your partner, things like that, running to social media to air out all the dirt, all the tension, all of that, that's not manly, man. Like, we don't supposed to be doing that as men, man. If we going through something with the mother of our children, with the spouse, with the partner, whatever you want to call it, we not supposed to be running to social media to air out, like to air out the dirty laundry. Like, we not supposed to be doing that. That's not something that a man does. And I was talking about manhood yesterday. A man ain't supposed to be doing that. You going through something with a woman, and the first thing you think to do is run to social media? Come on, man. Who does? We not supposed to be moving like that. That's something that we think that women are supposed to do. We accuse women of doing that. Then we go do it. We doing the exact same things that we accusing women of doing. We not supposed to be running to social media with those problems. Not supposed to be doing that. That's emotional. That's emotional. And a lot of people lose their way with that. A lot of people lose their way with that, man. Stick to the script. As Nipsey said, man, learn how to stick to the script. Something going on in your life, man, that revolves around the mother of your children, spouse, or partner. Man, you ain't got to be running to social media to prove a point, man. Stick to your script. Continue to drop the jewels. Continue to drop the knowledge. Continue to drop the information. If you know at the end of the day, the situation that they trying to bring to you that you really didn't do anything, then again, the truth is going to come to light. You don't need to prove yourself on social media. You don't need to do that. That's the ego. That's your ego feeling like you need to prove yourself on social media. Prove your innocence on social media. Somebody accused me of something I know I didn't do. I don't need to prove myself. Nor am I about to get on here bragging and boasting, or, you know what I'm saying? None of that. I'm going to stick to the script. I'm going to stick to my script. I'm going to let the truth, I'm going to let the cream rise to the top. Like I say, the cream is symbolic to the truth. That's how I'm going to operate. That's how I'm going to function. I'm not about to get on here trying to prove a point. Blast the other person. I'm not trying to do that. Even if they doing it to me. As a man, I'm not worried about that. Even if it's a woman out here that's bitter and she's striving to blast me, I ain't got time for it. Because like I said, one of the ways, like if you dealing with reversing a illness or reversing an illness, reversing a disease, and we talking about cancer, one of the things you must do to the cancer cell is starve it. You must not feed it. So when it comes to things like that, why feed it? It's only going to continue to grow. So if you got somebody that's striving to put dirt on your name, don't feed them. Don't go back and forth with them, because you feeding the beast. You feeding them. If you know you didn't do anything and you know you innocent, don't feed them. You ignore them. That's going to starve them, because you're not giving them attention. You're not giving them that. You're not giving them the energy. You're not giving them the food. So they won't grow. You're starving them. That's what you must do in situations like that. If you know you good, you know at the end of the day you didn't do anything, man, you starve that type of person, man. You don't give them energy. You don't give them attention. That's the easiest way to move. Ignore them and stick to your script. Plenty of information you can drop. Plenty of information you can drop out here. You don't need to be focused on that. Come on now. D Monty for sure. And that's what I was talking about in the previous stream, that one I did yesterday. That feminine energy in men is real. And all you got to do is look at social media. All you got to do is look at social media. Most of these dudes you see that a lot of people are tapped into, man, they got a lot of feminine qualities. And it's starting to become annoying, man. You don't really see manly men, masculine men out here on these social media platforms that a lot of people are rocking with. They rocking with the feminine men, the men that's doing things for attention, that's doing things for the likes and the subscriptions and things like that. That's who people are gravitating towards, and rightfully so. That's all a part of the plan. That's all by design. They don't want you to get a hold of the masculine man, the man that's coming with the right and exact energy. They don't want you to gravitate towards that. They want you to gravitate towards the one that have the feminine energy. That's by design, man. That's intentional. That is intentional and by design, man. So that's why that happens. So when you got the man that actually represents what it means to be a man, you're gonna have to find that person, because they're gonna be buried underground. They gonna be buried underground. Sweet Tea, peace. What's happening? Alonzo, peace. What's the word? Oh, just yeah, that proper motion, proper movement is medicine for sure. 100%. Tell people that all the time. Right and exact. Anais, appreciate it. And I'm still doing I'm still learning and growing and evolving. And that's one thing about me. I don't claim to know anything, man. I'm never about to allow the ego to control me, to destroy me. Never. I'm never allowing that to happen, because that's at that moment, I feel like it's almost equivalent to when they say when you stop learning, that's when you die. Like when you allow the ego to control you, that's when you die. Like I'm never allowing that ego to control me, man. I'm never allowing that to happen. That's self-destruction. I'm constantly growing, I'm constantly learning, I'm constantly evolving. Always. So with that being said, man, how can I allow the ego to control me? Because I always know that there's something more to learn. I know right now what I know, or what I think I know, is nothing. So with that understanding being understood, the ego is tamed just off of that. The ego is tamed just off of me realizing I got a long way to go. And I'm always thirsty. I'm always hungry for information, for knowledge. I'm always hungry and thirsty for them joints, man. And that's the reason why the ego is never going to control me, because I'm hungry and thirsty for knowledge, man. I don't claim to know much of anything. I just read, do the knowledge. I retain what I retain, and I spit out what I think is important. That's it. That's it. That's literally it. I don't claim to be more connected to a certain source than other people. I don't claim to be that. I don't claim to move like that. I don't claim to have sacred books that only I have access to. No, the books that I get, for the most part, you can find them right on Amazon. Like, I don't claim to have some special knowledge, man. I just know that I'm thirsty and I'm hungry for knowledge. That is what probably would separate me from most people. I don't have no special knowledge. I do knowledge that's easily accessible out here. Now, I'm about to get more deep into the trenches in regards to some of the books that I read. I'm about to start finding those books, or getting those books that are collector's items and things like that that's hard to find. But right now, I just get a book you could look up on Amazon. I read that joint because I'm hungry. I'm a student of life. I'm always striving to learn. I'm always striving to learn. I'm always striving to grow. A lot of these brothers, once they reach a certain status, the hunger, it dies. It's almost like when you are a rapper, when you are an artist, and you go like that first album, you go platinum, you achieve a nice amount of success. It's like, what's the key to the continuation of that success? Most people gonna tell you, most artists will tell you, you gotta stay hungry. You gotta stay hungry. You gotta act like you didn't just go platinum. You gotta act like you didn't just have the #1 album for 10 weeks straight. You gotta act like you just starting out. That's how I approach life. I'm always acting like I'm a beginner, a novice, and all of that. That's how I move. I feel like I'm always a rookie when it comes to knowledge and information. That right there is what continues to help me elevate and evolve as a person, as a man. But once these brothers, it's like once they see a certain number, once they get a certain amount of subscribers, followers, likes, then they start feeling like they important. And once they start feeling like they important, then that's when all of that dies. That's when that hunger dies. Now they just figuring out ways to deceive or to continue to deceive the hundreds of thousands of people that are following them. Now that's what it has become now. So now I got the people rocking with me. I got 100,000 subscribers. Now I need to figure out a way to manipulate the 100,000 so that I can make money off of them, so that I can generate my wealth off of them. When at the end of the day, guess what you don't need to do? You don't need to find ways to deceive and manipulate people who are genuinely supporting you. Man, I read in a book long time ago, they said, look, if you want to become a millionaire, if you want to make $1 million, you got to find a way to improve the lives of 1 million people. So all that said to me is, if I focus on a certain message and I get that message to touch 1 million people, and that message it touches the 1 million people and it helps the 1 million, then I become a millionaire. So I don't have to manipulate minds. I don't have to deceive people. All I got to do is touch the people and reach the people with the message and hope that it helps them. So if I help 1 million people, then that's $1 million. It didn't say in order to get the million, you got to manipulate 1 million. You got to deceive 1 million. All you got to do is help 1 million. When you help the people, when you look out for the people going to look out for you. So all of the deception and manipulation is unnecessary. That's why I can't stand the scammers. The people are genuinely supporting you anyway. So it's no need to scam them. It's no need to manipulate and deceive them. They will support you in your endeavors. They literally will genuinely support you. You don't need to deceive them. All you gotta do is continue to help them. Continue to give them what they came to you for in the first place. If you in the fitness space, continue to give them information that's going to take them to the next level in regards to their health and fitness. That's all you got to do. You ain't got to try to manipulate them. You ain't got to try to manipulate. Man, if you in the finance industry, continue to give them information that's going to help them generate wealth. You don't have to manipulate them. You don't have to deceive them. Just give them what they need. Just give the people what they need. Give the people what they came to you for. If they came to you for a specific piece of advice, you continue to give them that. You continue to give them the jewels that will allow them to grow in that area. No need to deceive. But we hit a certain number, man, in the society that we in today, we hit a certain number of subscribers, followers, friends, whatever. Then now we feel like it's deception mode. We got to try to make money off of them. And that's all the focus is. That's all the focus is. So Shantae, peace, what's happening? Beast by Bless on now, 100%. Ego driven leads to a fatal crash. That's what it means to be. I wrote that in a poem. To be ego driven is going to lead to a fatal crash. That's what it's going to lead to. That's what it's going to lead to. Matter of fact, that's an analogy for you. When you in a car with a person, you done seen this in movies. When you have two people, you have a person driving, you have two people in a car. They may be married, they may be a couple. And they drive, and the man is driving, or the woman is driving, whoever is driving, and they are having an argument. They are having an argument. And you know how this ends most of the time when it comes to the movies. They so engaged in the argument, like the driver's so engaged in the argument, they ain't focused on the road. Next thing you know, boom, fatal crash. Because you wasn't focused on the road. You was too focused on proving your point in this argument. And that led to a fatal crash, and it probably killed you both. This happens a lot. This happens more often than we think. That's what it means to be ego driven. You taking your eyes off of the road. You taking your eyes off of the road, man. You taking your eyes off of the prize when you are ego driven. Just like when a person is arguing, instead of focusing on that road. Forget what this person in this passenger seat is talking about. You got to make it to your destination. Then we can discuss this issue. I'm not about to argue with you while I'm driving. This car must stop first. Because if I engage in this argument, I'm going to allow the ego to control me, my emotions to control me. Next thing you know, my eyes off the road, and I done got boom. We done got hit. We done ran into something because I wasn't focused. So that's what happens when someone is ego driven, man. You taking your eyes off of the road, taking your eyes off of the prize. And that's going to lead to a fatal collision. So we got to chill, man. We got to chill. It ain't about being right sometimes, man. So it's a time and a place for everything. The time and place for arguing is not while you're driving. It's not while you're driving. If you're gonna have a dispute, park the car first. Not while we driving. That's not the time and the place for it. So we got to understand that it's a time and a place for us to have certain debates, for us to have certain discussions. It's a time and a place for that. But most of the time, we engage in these discussions and these debates the wrong time. That's what we tend to do. Demoncy, for sure. That's exactly what it's like. And we see that quite often. And you wonder what happened to them. They no longer motivated. They got the money that they was after, so they good. My family straight. I worked hard. I got $100 million contract. I'm good. I'm chilling. I'm good. We straight. We straight. Teaching AI for sure. For sure. And props to the single mothers. You know what I'm saying? I know that that's a very complicated task. And props to the single fathers and things of that nature, man. A lot of times I just want to give props to the single mothers and single fathers, man, because listen, it's hard enough to raise children when you have both parents. To have to do it solo dolo is a whole different ball game. Whole different ball game, man. So just props to all the single parents out here, man, that's doing a great job. Must give them props. Must do that every chance that I get. JB, peace, what's happening? Anais, for sure, man. We got to remain focused on what's important. We remain focused on the prize. Again, when you ego driven, you're not focused on it. You're not focused on it. Like I said, just go tap into social media, see a lot of these debates, see a lot of these arguments. And at the end of the day, just ask yourself, what just came out of this? That's why I don't even watch a lot of them anymore, because it's like once I was done, I was like, man, what just happened? Like, what did I just get out of this? Like, I just seen a bunch of dudes hooping and hollering at one another, and it was gimmicky. Like, I don't even understand what just happened. So I just stopped tapping into a lot of it, because a lot of it is very unproductive. Akuma, man, and that's what happens 99% of the time. Y'all know how hard it is to focus on that road, man, when somebody trying to argue with you. It's very complicated. It's very complicated. Doggone, for sure. For sure. Like, it ain't even, I don't even like being right all the time, man. You know how many times, man, I done been in situations. Now I'm getting so smooth with it now that I done been in situations where I have allowed people to say things that I know 100% is just wrong, and I don't even say anything. I just let them live. I just let them, whatever floats your boat, man. If you think that that's right, I'm letting you live. Man, I done a good job, because I used to not be able to do that. But now, man, I will let people say something I know is 100% inaccurate, and I won't even correct them. What's the point? Especially when I know the person. Like I said, it's a time and a place for that. When I know the quality of the person that I'm dealing with, I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to let you rock. I'm going to let you roll. Like, you said something that I know for a fact is incorrect, but I'm not about to intervene. I'm not about to intervene. I'm going to let you continue to live your life, man. I'm going to let you to continue, because it's going to end in an argument, and it's going to get my blood pressure up. So it's pointless. It's pointless. I'm protecting my health. I'm protecting my sanity. Me arguing with a person that I know not trying to see my side of it is pointless. It's unhealthy. So I don't engage. I don't indulge. Lindell, I'm telling you, it might be 99% of the arrogant people are sellouts. I don't trust arrogant people, man. I don't trust them. I don't trust a person that thinks they know everything. I don't trust a person that feel like they got to be right. Man, I know it's plenty of brothers, man. They always feel like they got to be right. They feel like their opinion is the only opinion that matters. They feel like they put everybody on to everything. They was the first one to do this. They was the first one. Like, dude, what is the point? Like, what do you, like, do you want like what they used to ask you, do you want a cookie? Like, somebody, it's literally, man, when I look on Facebook, man, I instantly get annoyed by a lot of things that dudes post. It's like, man, I was telling people about this years ago. I was telling, dude, who cares? Who cares? Everybody just want to be right. Everybody want to be the first one that introduce something to the people. Like, there's nothing new under the sun. You were not the first one to introduce something to somebody, man. There's nothing new under the sun. All of this stuff is in existence. You ain't create this. Like, Man, I'm telling you, man, I done seen some crazy things, man. I done seen some crazy things typed out by dudes to where it's like, dude, your ego, you really got to get that ego in check, man. Really got to get that ego in check. D Monty, for sure, we don't do the internet. Peace, Queen, what's happening? Yoka, yeah, and if I didn't have this gym business, I would not be on Facebook, in all honesty. Like, a lot of my people contact me from a gym via Facebook. Only reason I'm really quite on it. If that wasn't the case, I would not be on Facebook. And then even YouTube is corny also. But I'm really easily able to filter through the nonsense because I control what I watch and all that, man. Facebook, you just so happen to scroll down and just see it. And then you read it and be like, man, this is stupid, you know? But YouTube, I mean, it's just it's filled with a lot of people that's doing things for the wrong reasons, man. A lot of things for the wrong reasons, man. And like I said, caught up in the ego and all this other type of nonsense, man. It's just a crazy world that we live in. And that's why I say social media is one of those things, a blessing and a curse. But the moment you allow people to start seeing how many people like what they posted and share what they posted, and seeing the donations and super chats of other people and themselves, you done created a problem. You done created a problem, man. You done created a problem. You have created a big problem where people are going out of their way to strive to get attention so that they can generate some revenue for it. And sometimes they ain't even trying to generate the revenue. They trying to generate the fame because they think the fame gonna lead to the revenue. So they don't care what they do as long as they get the attention of the people. I know too many people that's on that. They will do and say things for shock value. They will do and say things for shock value just to get the people to rock with them. That's corny to me. Figure out your purpose, man, and do it the righteous way. I don't need to come on here and say something that's crazy to shock the people just to get them to rock with me. When you do things righteously, man, I'm telling you, the people that need you, they gonna gravitate towards you. When you do things for the wrong reasons, you're gonna get the wrong energy. You're gonna get the wrong type of energy. And then you're gonna be trying to clean it up. Because while you know what I'm saying, like, you wanted to get the people to you to spread a certain type of message, but to do it, you did something that's weak and wicked and unrighteous. So you're gonna get a lot of that energy in return. So we gotta chill on that, man. Magic, that's definitely it. They want to be celebs. That's it. They want to be celebrities. That is literally it. And just people are definitely insane, man. People are definitely crazy. That's why I say a lot of people be judging people that have mental health conditions, but I feel like that's mostly everybody that has a mental health issue. A lot of the people that we tapping into on social media that we think got everything figured out are the most unstable. You know what I'm saying? And these are the people that we look into for advice. These are the people that we looking up to, and they are the most unstable. So what does that tell you about the people? We looking up to unstable people. So come on now. Come on now. Static, peace, what's happening? Just, hey, that's what I'm saying. People, hey, and I'm trying to get back to that, man. I'm probably have to fast from it anyway, man. Just refrain from Facebook and all that anyway, because Facebook then really got corny. So it's just a corny world we live in, man. People do things. They do things with ill intentions. They always have ulterior motives and things of that nature, man. You just really can't trust the intentions and motives of people. Monty, that's what I'm saying. I already know. Like, I used to be on the heavy. Everything I'm talking about, I used to be driven by. Like, I used to be driven by the ego. I used to always go back and forth with people when I first came into this knowledge, or what they call consciousness, whatever you want to refer to it as. Man, I used to stay going back and forth with people. I used to have to be right. I was gonna get the last word. I used to be that person heavy. I've grown, I've evolved. It's a lot of people that's not evolving, though. It's a lot of brothers that's not evolving. They still that same person they was 5, 10 years ago. I'm not supposed to be the same person I was 10 years ago. Like, no, that's complacency. That ain't what life is about. The only thing constant in life is change. So if I'm not changing, then I'm going against nature. I don't like going against nature, man. So I'm a value change. I'm a value growth. I'm a value evolution. I deal with evolution, man. Clocks in. Peace. What's happening? Love Pink. Honestly, I'm not a big Kanye fan, to keep it to keep it quite honest with you. Never been too big on Kanye, never been a Kanye fan, so I ain't even been tapped into what he's doing. Never been a fan of Kanye. I'm gonna just keep it 100% honest. Just never been a Kanye fan, man. I ain't never been too big on Kanye, so I don't. When I'm not too big on a person, for the most part, I don't focus on what they doing. That's how I function and operate. So I ain't really been putting too much time and energy into what Kanye doing. I don't care for him releasing new music because I don't care for his music. So I really just don't care about what he's doing. I'm not a big fan of him. So that's just in all honesty. That I know that's an unpopular opinion for most people because a lot of people rock with the dude. But I've never been a big Kanye fan, and I'm still not a Kanye fan. But I've been semi seeing what he's been doing in regards to the post being made about it. But I haven't taken the time out to really thoroughly examine it, so I don't have like a real in depth like outlook in regards to what he's doing. I could make something up, but I ain't about to do that. I just ain't never been too fond of that dude, man. Something about dude has always rubbed me the wrong way, so I ain't never really rock with him. D-Man, yeah, it's the viral society. That's all we striving to do, baby. We trying to go viral. That's it. People wake up, and that's what they focused on. What can I do to go viral today? What type of content can I put out that will allow me or enable me to go viral today? That's the society that we live in. We just striving to go viral. That's it. That's it. Oh, David, for sure. And for the most part, our mental health has become our detriment. People don't understand. Like, you got to have the mental health before you even have the physical health. So you changing the way that you eating without changing the way you think, and guess what? We got a problem. Both of those things have to be in alignment with one another. So a lot of times that ain't how we rock. We say, all right, I'm gonna change the way that I eat, but I ain't gonna change the way that I think. Gotta change the way that you think and change the way that you eat. You know what I'm saying? If you eating healthy foods, but you thinking toxic and poisonous thoughts, guess what? That healthy food is not gonna do its job because your mind is gonna overpower that. And that's just an actual fact. So you could be vegan, you could be plant-based, you could be a raw foodist, whatever you want to call it. But if your mind is toxic, don't matter. Doesn't matter at all. Clocks in, man. Hey, kudos to the young brother for admitting that. Hopefully he does something about that. You know, it's one thing to admit, it's another thing to like do something about it. So hopefully he does something about it, grows and evolves. You know, always listen. I always want to see the brothers evolve and grow, even if I don't rock with them. You know, I always want to see people grow and evolve. That's why I don't really like to spend a lot of time talking bad about the people that I don't necessarily fool with, because I don't. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, man, if they doing something that ain't necessarily destructive, then I'm all for it. But once they start doing something that I deem is destructive, then I'm going in. I don't care who you are. But if you doing something that I just don't fool with, it ain't necessarily destructive, I just think it's trash, I'm gonna let you. I'm gonna let you live. I'm gonna let you live. I'm gonna just say I don't fool with it. Yeah, just it was probably that. It was probably that. But as y'all know, I don't fool with a lot of people, musically speaking, and things of that nature. So it's probably a lot of people fool with. I don't. And Kanye was one of them ones, man. I just ain't never really cared to rock with him. But his ego played a big part in it as well. Love Pink. You say your sister made a point. She said someone was like animals can be gay, but I've never seen it. Just going back to what you were talking about with nature, so it makes me wonder if it's a choice or not. Now, Love Pink. With that being said, and I was talking about this the other day, not on here though. but I was having this type of conversation. When it comes to a lot of things in life, man, we be having conversations about like having free will or, you know, having these choices and things of that nature. Man, that's a real complicated topic. It's a real complicated subject because I don't feel like it's a cut and dry answer to that particular dilemma of whether or not we have like free will and things of that nature. I feel like in some respects, things are a choice. Like we do have free will. And then in some respects, no, we don't. Like in regards to how I turned out as far as how I look and my height, things of that nature. I didn't have much say so in that. Like at all. Like my height and all that was pretty much predetermined based off of the people who who created me. So that type of stuff was predetermined. It wasn't like I came out of the womb. I was like, I want to be 6'5", so now I'm able to be 6'5". Now, with certain things that were predetermined that they are allowing us to go against nature and change, you know, and that's what some people are doing, like surgery and things of that nature. But for the most part, when it comes to like the body, man, the way you gonna unfold and turn out, you have little say so in that. You have little say so in that. Now, when it comes to things like sexual preferences and things of that nature, while I'm going to say initially you're not born that way, I feel like it's things that influence you. So it could be a point, or it could be a thing of which the parents, before you was even conceived, before you were born, or while you were in the womb, there are certain foods. There are certain foods that can alter that situation and make one turn out to be gay or homosexual and things of that nature. And there are plenty of studies that show and prove that. So in a sense, we can say you didn't necessarily have a choice. You were born that way, but it was the parents that had the choice. It was the parents that had the power, but they was eating certain foods that kind of influenced you to turn out that way because it altered your hormones. So a lot of people don't understand that. Literally, there are certain foods because the estrogen count can be so high that can impact a young boy. And when he comes out, like since the mother, while he was pregnant in the womb, consumed a lot of those foods that can alter his hormonal structure. And he can turn out to be a certain way because of that. But it still goes back to the choice of the mother, the choice of the father, what they were consuming while they conceived and things of that nature. So I feel like I feel like it's levels to that particular conversation. It's levels to it. But I feel like at the end of the day, everything has some type of influence behind it. Every decision that you make has some type of influence behind it. So I feel like that's with any and everything. It has some type of influence behind it. And sometimes depending on the situation, like you can choose whether or not you want to allow this influence to have you travel down this path or that path. But I feel like at the end of the day, it all revolves around influence. And that's why we start talking about things like the homosexual agenda, because it influences the mind of a child. We're not saying it makes a child homosexual, but it persuades and influences the mind of a child. The influence and persuasion is very powerful. So that's what we're talking about with an agenda. And just me knowing what I know about marketing, I can tell you that anything that's on like everybody has an agenda. So if you think that that community is exempt from having an agenda, then you just choosing to live blindly. Everybody has an agenda. Everybody. Like everybody has an agenda. And I'm gonna give you an example. Every time you watch something on TV these days, they are going to incorporate what type of element in the show or the movie, a homosexual element. That's an agenda. What's the agenda? Well, we want to make it more acceptable. We want to make this lifestyle more acceptable. So therefore, we are going to insert it in every movie and show. That's an agenda. But these people swear up and down that there is no such thing as a homosexual agenda. And I'm convinced that people do not know what the word agenda means. That's literally the agenda. The reason why you are inserting this in the show, it is a motive behind it. Well, we gonna make this character homosexual. Well, why are you making the character homosexual? Because whatever comes after that because is your agenda. That's literally your agenda. Whatever comes after the because is the agenda. I'm not saying an agenda is good or bad, but everybody has an agenda. Everybody, literally. So if I'm going to make this character homosexual, it's an agenda behind why I'm doing that. And for the most part, the reason why you see it so often is because they have an agenda to make the lifestyle more acceptable. But nobody wants to admit that. Nobody wants to admit it. Just like they have an agenda to highlight our destruction. So when you see black folks in Hollywood and things of that nature, is more than likely negative. Y'all know I'm from the 90s. Most of the movies that came out in the 90s, we fooled with what they called the hood classics, but they depicted us in very terrible lights. Those movies didn't depict us in the best of lights. These hood classics that we all like. That was an agenda. They showed us these movies. They made these movies for a reason. They could have made movies way more positive than that, whether or not that was our reality or not. They could have made way more positive movies. We had a lot of positivity going on, but they didn't. They chose the worst aspects of black life, and those were the movies that hit the surface. Now we want to say, oh, some of these movies were directed by black people, John Singletary and whatnot. But you already know that had to be approved. You already know that had to be approved. They had to allow that. They wasn't going to allow it if it was just 100% positive images of black people. So let's be real, man. There's always an agenda out here. Percy, appreciate the donation. You say I'm kind of in the middle, bro. Most gay people I meet, I ask them at what age they knew. They say 6, 7, or 8. I'm like, how? So I don't know how they could know at such a young age. And that's what I'm saying. It really, and I feel like because it's so many influences out here. It's hard to pinpoint really any of that. It's hard to pinpoint any of that. But like I said, if we was born a certain type of way, then for the most part, we would already know how people gonna turn out when they are born. We don't know that though. At some point, you were influenced. At some point, you were persuaded. Like at some point, that child was influenced or something happened to that child and things of that nature. And that's what led to that revelation. That's what led to that revelation. But it's a lot of factors. That's why I said this thing is way more complicated. Way more complicated. There's levels to it because it's a lot of things, and they have done studies on these things. It's a lot of things that could determine that type of outcome. But when you say that type of stuff, instead of people looking at it objectively, somebody will hear me saying something about certain foods that you eat can lead to your child turning out to be homosexual, and they will get emotional instead of being objective about it. And they will get all in their feelings instead of dealing with the actual facts of what I just said. Like, it's truth in that, man. It's truth in that. You can keep consuming all those foods that's high in estrogen. Keep consuming all those foods that's high in the genetically modified estrogen and things of that nature. Keep feeding that. Keep feeding that to yourself while you pregnant with that young man, and see how he potentially may turn out. And this goes outside of that. This goes outside of even turning out homosexual or not. You got babies that are born with all type of deficiencies and diseases. All of this ties back into the type of lifestyle the parents were living before the child came into existence. All of these things impact the child. So why, when it comes to something like homosexuality, we think that doesn't apply? We have children that are born with a multitude of all types of illnesses. And all of this ties back to the lifestyle that the parents were living while the child was in the womb and pre the child being in the womb. This is another condition where it can be linked back to the lifestyle of the parents. The lifestyle of the parents, like that's just an actual fact. That's literally an actual fact. Just even outside of homosexuality, I don't want to even spend too much time on that. But outside of that, just even whether or not like most of the young ladies, like when a young lady has been molested and things of that nature, what's crazy is she may grow up and she may become addicted to sex. Like that may cause her sex drive, like that may cause her sex drive to increase to where she may have this obsession with sex. Like that's a result of you being touched and molested as a young girl. Like all of these things have influences. All of these things have influences. Why, when it comes to like homosexuality, we think that there is no influence to that. Like we think that there is nothing that can create that type of mindset in a person or influence that type of mindset. We think that merely a person is just born like that. Literally everything has an influence behind it. So even when that young girl turns out to be a woman and she is obsessed with sex, you can connect that to something that may have happened to her back in the day. Something that she may have been exposed to. Something that may have happened to her. So literally, everything has an influence. Everything. There is nothing that, like, everything has an influence. Everything. Literally everything you think of in life has some type of influence behind it. So that's why sometimes I feel like the free will, the fate, like that conversation is deeper than we give it credit. Because a lot of us just answer it cut and dry. Yes, I have free will. No, we don't have free will. I don't think it's that simple. Yes, I was born this way. No, I wasn't born this way. I don't think it is that simple. But a lot of people don't like the response when I say I'll be like, it depends. It literally sometimes it depends. Like it depends on how the parents was living. Like it's a lot of factors. So I used to just cut and dry answer those questions. I used to be one of the ones like I'm free will. I got free will. I'm the sole controller, everything. But I'm like, hold on, let me step back and analyze it objectively. There are certain things that are literally outside of my control. I could not control how tall I am. Literally, the two people that came and gave birth to me and their families, like that was the factor. That was the factor, because you can have two shorter people create a taller person. But then when you start analyzing the family, you see that, okay, on the mother's side, they got some tall people on that side. So that's how you were able to come out pretty tall. So it's a lot of factors into the mix, man. It's a lot of factors. So things are deeper than we want to realize, man. But a lot of people are afraid to go deep because a lot of people are afraid to do what? Think. Thinking is a crime in today's society. So that's why a lot of people are afraid of deep discussions, because we don't want to think, nor do we want to be challenged. Percy, for sure. And again, a lot of people, and that's another thing too, when it comes to the talk about homosexuality, and this ain't directed at you, Percy, appreciate the donation too. But a lot of times people hear what we say about homosexuality and think we don't like homosexuals. It ain't never really even been about, that's almost like when people will hear me talk about white folks and be like, oh man, you hate white people. No, I love black people. Ain't got time to hate. Ain't got time to hate white folks. Ain't got time to do that. I'm going to expose the beast. I'm going to expose the wickedness, but I don't just go around hating all white people. I love my people. I disagree with some of the things that these white folks do. And historically speaking, I disagree with how they move. That's merely what it is. I can chop it up with any and every white person. I can have conversations with anybody. You put anybody in a room, I can have conversations with them, depending on how they come to me. If they come to me in a disrespectful manner, I ain't finna tolerate that. But if they come to me in a respectful manner, in a righteous manner, I can chop it up with any and everybody. So it's the same with homosexuality. If you think your homosexuality is the only thing that defines you, then that's a problem in and of itself. But I just disagree with what I would deem a lifestyle choice that you have made. It's almost like if you had a family member and they chose they heterosexual and they got a girlfriend or a wife or whatever the case, and you disagree with the person that they talking to. Don't necessarily mean that you got a problem with them. You disagree with a choice that they made. That's how I look at that. I disagree with that part of your lifestyle. There are plenty of other things that you will do as a homosexual that I can agree with. You may be vegan. I agree with that. You may say you don't fool with religion. I agree with that. You may like a certain type of music that I fool with. That's just one aspect of your life that I disagree with. That don't mean that I hate you. And that's what a lot of people start to make us out to be when we start talking about disagreeing with homosexuality. I disagree with a lot of religion. Don't mean I hate everybody that's religious. I don't hate my family. They religious. I just disagree with the religion. I can still chop it up and have a great time with my family members. So a lot of people don't understand that. Just like it's plenty of people that disagree with what I'm saying and they still come around me. They still allow me to train them. Things of that nature. Just disagree with that part of the game. That's it. Keep it moving. That's literally it. Love Pink, appreciate that donation. Everything is energy. What they say, everything is energy. Everything vibrates. The universe is mental. As above, so below. Like all of that type of stuff, man. All of that type of stuff. Hermeticism, man. If you ain't studied that, study that. The Kabbalion and all of that type of good stuff. Study that. Study the sacred sciences and things of that nature. Study the metaphysics. All of that type of good stuff is helpful. Study the way that our ancestors viewed the universe. Study all of that. Go deep with this information. See, we be too caught up, and rightfully so. We live in the wilderness of North America, man. So one thing that we know we need money. We need money. We need finances. We need that in order to succeed. I feel you. So a lot of times, a lot of people feel like some of that type of information is not conducive to that goal, which is to get to the what? The bag, but they not understanding where the true bag really is, where the true wealth really derives from, and that's the mind. So if you get that mind right, all of the other stuff will follow. So I tell people, man, study the metaphysics, study the philosophy, study the sciences, study psychology, study all of that. Study all of that. Study anything pertaining to the mind, subconsciously, consciously, superconsciously, all of that. Study all of that. And I guarantee you will never worry about a bag a day in your life when you learn how to just manifest, when you learn how to control the mind, use the power of the mind. You're not gonna worry about finances. You ain't gonna worry about anything in life when you master the mind. You worry free. So that's why I tell people to study that type of stuff first. Essentially, earning money is not complicated. It's really not complicated. So when you read all these books on wealth, like they literally saying the same thing because it's not really complicated. But the mind is a little complicated. The mind is a little complicated. To master self, to master that mind, to master yourself is to master the universe. So that's a complicated task. Generating revenue is not complicated. It's not complicated. It's literally not complicated. When you study the mind, like I said, you will find out how non-complicated that actually is when you start studying the mind. It's really easy to manifest. It's really easy to manifest. It's really easy to manifest. That's why I say study the mind. Study the mind. Master the mind. You master the mind, you good. Okay, cool. Peace. What's happening? Teaching AI. I've talked about that. I've talked about the gut being basically a second brain, and the gut producing about, I think it's 80 to 90%, somewhere in between. I think it's 80% of the serotonin. And y'all know what the serotonin is, man. Y'all know what the serotonin is, the hormone that gives us that pleasure, that joy, that happiness. It supplies us with that. So if you have a bad gut, that's one of the leading causes of like depression. If your gut health is not intact, that literally causes depression. That literally causes depression, man, because it's suppressing the release of the serotonin, or the production of the serotonin, or the secretion of the serotonin, however you want to phrase it. So when your gut health is trash, that could be the answer to your depression. But again, they don't like to link those things. They don't like for you to link what you eat to depression. Because if people realize that I could reverse my depression, or I could kill the depression by changing the way that I eat, world will be a better place. But they don't want to link what you eat, the foods that you consume, to your mental health. They don't want to do that. They do not want to do that because, again, there is no money in that. There is no money in that. So they want to say, oh, you depressed, you bipolar, you schizophrenic. You gotta take these meds. They don't want to say you can change the way that you eat and we could eliminate that, or you could fast and that could eliminate that. They want you to think that you got to live with that for the rest of your life. You schizophrenic, man. I got books on fasting. That dude said he had schizophrenic and bipolar patients, and he put them on fast, and guess what? Good to roll. Got rid of the bipolar disorder, the schizophrenia. But this is the type of information that they don't want to allow people to see. They don't want you to think that you can cure that schizophrenia, that bipolar disorder. They don't want you to think that. They want you to know that. And the reason I brought up fasting is because that pertains to the health of the gut. Because it's giving the digestive system a break. It's cleansing oneself. It's cleansing the gut. So that's making you happier. You literally, it's making you happier. That's why we tell people to fast every so often, depending on the health of the individual. Like if you all bad, you need to fast more frequently or more often than a person that ain't really got any ailments that they suffering from. But fasting is one of the age-old techniques that our ancestors knew about, that has cured a lot of ailments that we suffer from enormously in today's time. Fasting is one of those joints, but we don't do it. We don't do it. We're afraid to fast because we're addicted to all these foods, man. But that is directly connected to your gut health, you know? So that depression, man, they have linked depression to that for a minute, but we're not doing anything to clean the gut up. We're doing anything to do it. Oh, doggone for sure. And that's why I tell people, man, study. Man, our ancestors, again, those who were equipped for the process and journey, man, they were studying 40, 50 years before they was considered to know anything. So study, man. Study life around you. Study the universe. Study yourself. You ain't got to worry about studying how to make money. You don't need to read books on, you don't need to read books on how to make money, man. That's real simple. Once you master the mind, you can make whatever it is you want to make. Once you master the mind, you can make and generate whatever it is that you need to generate. I guarantee you. Guarantee you. You read a business book, it's going to tell, all these business books literally going to tell you the same type of thing, man. Same thing. So don't even waste your time, man. Get into the metaphysics, get into the psychology, get into all of that, man. Get into all that. Study the mind, study the brain. And I'm telling you, that's one of the best things you can study. Study the mind, study the brain. You master the mind, you master the brain, you winning. You master it on all levels. Like I said, subconsciously, consciously, super consciously. Master the brain, master the mind on all those levels. And you will not have a concern. No longer have concerns, man. Master all of that good stuff, man. Deal with the meditation. Learn about health and fit. Like, these are the things that you need to learn about. Because when you got all these things going for you, man, you are going to be good. You are going to be good. But we so caught up in all the materials and things of that nature. That's what we caught up on. We caught up on all the materials. I need to get a new car. I need to get the new crib. I need to show it off and this, that, and the third. I'm not concerned with any of that, man. Y'all see me, man. It ain't nothing. I ain't out here striving to be flashy or nothing. Man, I still be streaming live from the phone, man. I'm good. Long as the message getting out here, man. It's about the message to me. I ain't out here striving to be flashy at the end of the day, man. I'm more focused on mastering that mind, and I'm more focused on helping other people start the process of mastering the mind. I'm not caught up in all that type of stuff, man. A lot of times, man, people do things for show. I'm going to give it to you raw and uncut however I can give it to you. Sometimes it ain't going to be pretty. Sometimes it ain't going to be pretty, but that's life. That's life. It ain't going to always be the way that I want it to be in life. But that ain't going to stop me. That ain't going to prevent me from saying what needs to be said. We always want to wait until everything meets our needs. But by that time, it could be too late. By that time, it can be too late, man. The best time is just to do it now. Like, that's always the best time. I'm not about to wait for things to line up how I need them to line up. That's procrastination. Like, I'm a procrastinator. Like, that's what a procrastinator does. Say, all right, man, I ain't going to make this move until X, Y, and Z line up. X, Y, and Z don't never line up. That's just giving me more ammunition to procrastinate. So, nah, just do it, man. Just do it. Oh, man, it ain't got to be pretty. It's almost like and I deal with writing. It's like, man, rough draft. Your rough draft ain't going to be perfect. Just write something, though. You got to create a draft in the first place. Just write. It ain't got to be perfect. It ain't got to make sense. It could be the dumbest thing you've ever written in your life. Just write, though. Write something. Write something. So a lot of times, man, we're afraid of failure. We're afraid to put out something that is not our best. I ain't worried about that, man. I'm going to put it out. I'll revise it later. We was in school. You did that rough draft was not your final draft. You may have had 2 or 3 more drafts after that. So come on now. Come on now. Jason, peace. What's happening? What's happening? Hey, clocks in, man. Hey, I appreciate that. Hey, if that come to me, I'm the wrong person to see a billion because I'm helping the people out. I'm helping the people out with that billion, man. Of course, I'm gonna do some things that's right and exact with the billion, but I'm helping the people out. I'm helping the people out. We gonna buy up communities out here, man, and my people ain't gonna have to worry about anything. We gonna buy a whole city in this joint, whole little town. Lachelle, peace, queen. What's happening? Love Pink for sure. And it's funny that you say that. It's funny that you say before you pray, you try to have an empty stomach. But one thing about that too, when it comes to the gut health, that's why they suggest that you never eat while you are stressed out. Like never eat while you're stressed out. And it goes deep. So for one, they never really encourage you to eat while you watching TV or watching anything for the most part. But if you must watch something while you eat, make sure that it's something positive. Like if you watching anything that's negative while you eating, that can tamper with the quality of the food. So they always tell you to never eat while you're stressed out. A lot of people don't understand that. It don't even matter what you eat, but never eat while you're stressed out, because when you're stressed out, guess what? That's impacting your gut. That's impacting your digestive system. So you're not going to be able to get all of the nutrients from the foods because you're eating while you're stressed out, and that's impacting your gut health. That's impacting your digestive system. So never eat while you're stressed out. Deal with that stress first. Then you consume the food. But don't eat while you're stressed out. Don't eat while you're trying to watch some type of negative news or negative program or negative show. Don't do that. That tampers with the quality of the food. You done had an argument. Don't eat after that argument, man. Don't do that. Do not eat after that argument, man. That's no good. That's no good. Don't do it, man. You just got into it. Listen, don't eat. Cool off. Then you consume the food. But never eat while you're stressed out. Never do that. Never do that. Like sometimes it's best to just not eat. Drink you some water or something, or don't do anything, man. Just cool off. Then you eat. Oh yeah, love Pink. Stop that. Don't stress eat. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that at all. Don't do it. Anais for sure. 100%. Oh, Kuma for sure. Say everything else will deactivate. For sure. Yeah, I'm trying to tap into some of these comments for sure. All clocks in. Yep, it definitely impacts you. Again, be mindful of what you consume. It's on all levels, whether it be physical food, whether it be mental food. So always be mindful of what you consume, mentally and physically, because it impacts you one way or another. So always be mindful of what you consume. 100% of the time. 100% of the time, be mindful of everything that you consume, because you're going to pay the price either way. So stay mindful. Just you say you fast a half a day on Wednesday. Let's get it. Let's get it. That's the start. That's a start. We'll take that. We'll take that fast. You know what I'm saying? You're only going to go up from here. So we'll take that type of fast. Let's get it. But y'all, man, with that being said, man, I think I done served my time today, man. I did my time for the day. It's a nice stream, man. I just wanted to get on here, talk a little talk real quick, man. Talk my noise, drop a little jewels here and there. Just inspire and motivate the people, man. So hopefully I accomplish that. But I may tap in with y'all once again tomorrow. Y'all know how I go. Be spontaneous. You never know when you're going to see me coming. But y'all know that I'm going to be coming with some information, with some inspiration and motivation. But I think I'm going to have to tap out for the day so y'all can enjoy the rest of y'all Saturday, then the early portion of y'all Sunday. So y'all make sure, man, y'all get some healthy foods in, get some rest, meditate, journal, listen to some solid music, all that type of good stuff, man. Good vibrations, good vibes, whatever you want to call it. I'm out. Y'all be easy. Peace.